Huh. Ugh. Huh. I think I fell asleep with my computer again. Again? Yeah, wait, what? There's something? Hey, Biosnow, I think I found something you should take a look at. I think it'll be worth your time. Who? What? Wait, what? Where'd this? I love this song. It's so sweet. What? How, whoa, wait, what? Okay, why are these words? Start? Divide now? Now, Red Like Roses Part 2? What is this? Wait. Wait, don't tell me. That's... Oh no. No, 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 no. No. Oh my god. I understand it now. I see all the pieces. They're all coming together. We just need to think more closely about this god. I see this all now. I figured it out. I figured it all out. I can't just sit here and think on this. I need to tell somebody. I need to tell everyone. Hey guys, this is Biosnow here. So as many of you have probably figured out, especially those who've been keeping track of the little hints I've been putting out, there's been one theory that I've been working on for a very, very long time. Yes, if you're wondering, this is the theory codenamed Soon, all those videos ago, and has been popping up ever since. But what exactly is Soon? See, I come up with a lot of theories on RWBY and other things, and I enjoy watching channels where others have done the same. So while I've had a bunch of theories in my head for a long time now, it wasn't until recently when I saw some other theories other RWBY channels had put out that I started to find there might be more to it than what I was thinking. Simply, I started to realize that many of these theories, when organized correctly and given a certain common theme or element, they form not a random tangent of a theory, but a timeline. Soon is not a single theory, but rather a series of theories that predicts everything that has happened in RWBY. Not the stuff we've seen before all this. This is everything. This predicts Salem's origins, the Grimm's origins, who and what Ozpin is, what happened to Summer, who Raven is working for, and even what the next few volumes may look like. This theory is, to put it simply, massive. So to make this easier to explain, I'll arrange it as if it were a timeline, starting with the farthest point in the past, working towards the present, and then I will elaborate on what I think will be the future of RWBY as a whole. So grab a drink and get ready for everything that's about to unfold. To start, let's go back to the beginning. The very, very beginning. It's just as stated at the beginning of the series when this all began. RWBY, Volume 1, Episode 1, RWBY Rose.
Legends. Stories scattered through time. Mankind has grown quite fond of recounting the exploits of heroes and villains, forgetting so easily that we are remnants, byproducts of a forgotten past. Man, born from dust, was strong, wise, and resourceful. But he was born into an unforgiving world. An inevitable darkness, creatures of destruction, the creatures of Grimm, set their sights on man and all of his creations. These forces clashed, and it seemed the darkness was intent on returning man's brief existence to the void.
Alright, so already we can break this down and analyze what happens here by listening very closely to the words the narrator, Salem, is saying. It's very similar to what GawsHawg sorry, no idea how to pronounce her name, covered in his video on just this topic alone. He points out that, as Salem even says in the first episode, humans were not the first creatures of this world. However, for there to be Grimm, there needs to be someone else present as well. As both JAC and Finite Unlimited have pointed out before, there is a Lord Grimm, an entity who is controlling the creatures of Grimm. Even in the first episode, Salem is referring to the Grimm as creatures of Grimm, suggesting that they are not in themselves Grimm, but rather creatures who belong to or are ruled over by an entity named Grimm, as in Lord Grimm.
The creatures of Grimm.
So now that I've set the scene, with a few other theorists to back this up, allow me to explain where my own theory begins to come into the picture. All this time ago, there were the creatures of Grimm, Lord Grimm, and the humans who were more or less just food for the Grimm. That is, until humans came across dust, a material that gave them a fair chance at defending themselves from the creatures of Grimm. But if we look back in the series, dust doesn't actually seem to have that much emphasis. Sure, people use it, but it's not the central focus, not since Volume 1 anyway, when it turned out it was just being used to make bombs for this elaborate, convoluted plan to place creatures of Grimm into the city. What truly seems to take center stage in the show is not dust, but instead aura and semblance. Knowing this, I propose something else that Salem didn't touch on. After discovering dust, humans must have also discovered aura. After all, as Lai demonstrated, an aura alone is more than enough to fight Grimm head-on, which humans at the time most likely would have been forced to do. So, just as Lord Grimm gave rise to the Grimm, I propose that someone else showed mankind how to use their aura. Someone who was incredibly powerful, who first needed to see humanity had enough of a soul or a will to live to use an aura. The Wizard. It's not impossible. The Wizard even states that he has lived for a very, very long time. So what if he was just flat out immortal? What if he's been here from the beginning? Moreover, what if he isn't exactly human, but something else? This isn't even that crazy of an idea in the RWBY universe. We've already seen how similar humans at Faunus are, but they are clearly identified as not being the same species, only similar in appearance and intelligence. So what if there's a third race we haven't been truly introduced to that is entirely immortal and vastly more powerful than humans or Faunus? Maybe this is part of what Salem was referring to in the first episode.
Legends. Stories scattered through time.
There may be more of them, or perhaps some of them have died out for many reasons, but the two we've seen so far that fit into this description would be the Wizard and Lord Grimm, and this will become incredibly important later. So now we're here in a world where the Grimm and mankind are both even with each other, if not with humans in the lead, with an immortal supporting either side. But it seems entirely possible that the two immortals would know of the other's existence, and they probably want the other one to be defeated so that their side will win. The difference here is that the Wizard would not want to send humans to attack Lord Grimm and his minions, and instead protects them, but is otherwise passive. However, as time goes on, it seems entirely possible that Lord Grimm may be making more and more attacks against the Wizard, who may have backed off from mankind more and more in an attempt to protect them. Odds are the Wizard would completely isolate himself from humanity to hide from Lord Grimm and to keep the humans away from him. That is, until a group of 4 young sisters happen to find him. Enter the 4 Maidens, minus their powers. As the whole episode of the World of Remnant on the 4 Maidens explains, they show the Wizard that they are pure of heart and have absolutely no idea who he is. Presumably since it's been hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, since he last made himself known to the world of mortals. And, well, the rest is history. Putting all his faith in the Maidens, he splits almost all of his power among them, giving them each the power of the 4 seasons and apparently some other stuff that really has nothing to do with the seasons, but they can do anyway. And that is a critical part of the theory. 4 is a very, very important number in this universe, and the fact that the Wizard split his power in 4 is also massively important. So with that, the Wizard is now only slightly more powerful than the average mortal, probably just strong enough to keep up with any of the Maidens should something go wrong with their powers. But the Maidens holding the rest of his power are now free upon the world. Though this may bring a consequence that the Wizard did not account for. With this much of his power being split, the odds are pretty good that Lord Grimm's sights turned on the Maidens and, by extension, the rest of humanity. The Wizard has now possibly doomed all of mankind unless he steps in. He needed to re-enter society, just close enough to keep in contact with the Maidens and to keep tabs on the activities of the creatures of Grimm. So he returns to society taking up the name Ozpin. Now this probably isn't a surprise to anyone. Analysts and theorists before me have speculated time and time again that he's probably the Wizard, so I won't go into too much detail on why I believe this to be true since we simply don't have time for that. So let's just go off of this. Ozpin's power is split, the Maidens are in trouble, and he's still looking out for them. He may have some trusted acquaintances, hunters and huntresses, to look after them as well. For example, when Amber was attacked on the dirt road, there was literally no one else around for who knows how far. Yet, Crow still showed up anyway, just in time to stop all of Amber's power from being taken. But that's jumping too far ahead. We need to rewind just a little bit before that. I'd guess somewhere between 15 to 20 years prior. An incredible amount of time has probably passed between when Ozpin split his powers and the time I am now referring to. But there is a difference now. At this point, I believe Ozpin has figured out where Lord Grimm is located and is planning to strike back. Enter the first part of the theory, is Salem actually Summer, as proposed by many other RWBY theorists such as JAC and RWBY Fanclub, to name a couple. So here's the part of the story we will be following. Ozpin has gathered many powerful hunters and huntresses from across Remnant in one final battle against Lord Grimm, determined to bring an end to it all. Among them are Raven, Summer, and many others. But I propose there are two other names in here that no one else brought up. Salem, and who may happen to be Cinder's mother. And if you think I chose those names at random, just wait until you see why I'm invoking these two. Remember, 4 is critical. After a long, arduous fight against Lord Grimm, he stands defeated, about to be executed by the hunters and 4 huntresses who have bested him. Now, theory time! What if, at that exact moment as Lord Grimm is about to die, he split his powers, just like Ozpin, and it was placed into his own 4 maidens? Grimm Maidens. Summer, Raven, Salem, and Cinder's mother. But at the time, none of them notice it, at least not immediately. No, the truth doesn't come up until later when bad things start to happen. If they are corrupted by the Grimm powers, his 4 attributes, they may slowly start to lose their grip on reality. Bad things would occur, and they may not have noticed this until it was too late, not until Cinder's mother is already claimed by the first Lord Grimm aspect, monstrosity. What if she became a Grimm, a nightmarishly powerful Grimm, the Grimm Dragon? Think about it, the dragon seems calm only when Cinder speaks to it, as if listening to her.
This is your home now.
It does what she says and helps her fight Pyrrha atop the tower, but why? Why would a Grimm help a human unless somewhere in its dark, unbridled thoughts it knew at least a little bit about who she was? If this is the case, then the sealing of the Grimm Dragon into Mount Glen would have caused a huge upset among everyone involved in the fight against Lord Grimm. They would have kept it a secret just to keep the truth that the dragon was once human from getting out, but those who knew her could not so easily forget. This would plant seeds of hate within them, especially in those I think she would have been close with, Salem and Cinder. In any case, seeing this would have been a wake-up call to the other Grimm Maidens. They may slowly start to uncover their Grimm powers for better or worse. Raven would immediately distance herself from her family, fearing that she may unleash some unspeakable wrath upon them. But for Summer, it's different. I think that about now would be the time when baby Ruby is born, and, not wanting to abandon her child, Summer makes the decision to stay with her family for as long as she can. However, it simply isn't within her power. When a human gives birth, the toll it takes on their being is great, weakening the immune system, causing long periods of weakness for months, and even a couple years after the child is born in some extreme cases. Between being a silver-dyed warrior and the power of the Grimm within her, the eternal conflict atop the sheer amount of power coursing through her, it might have been too much. She runs for the only person she can turn to about this, since she fears what Ozpin would do. Raven is out of contact, Cinder's mother is locked away, and she doesn't want her own family to find out about this terrible secret. The only person left is Salem. She goes to Salem, weak and in pain, and asks her to help. But there's nothing Salem can do but comfort her once comrade as she begins to fade. Perhaps, in the arms of Salem, Summer Rose passed away. And we know what happens when a maiden dies. With a flash of light, all the dark, chaotic energy of her Grimm powers are shot into the only other woman she's thinking of, Salem. Maybe Salem's body could handle the first part of being a Grimm maiden, but to have the effect doubled? Things start to happen. Her body warps. It shifts into a monstrous yet still human form, becoming something that's not quite human but not a Grimm either. Something that is exactly half of each, an abomination of both worlds. Looking at the horror that their defeat of Lord Grimm caused, the things she became, what happened to Cinder's mother, and the death of her friend, she blames the one person who should have seen it all coming, Ozpin. And thus, she starts to plan her revenge, finally taking a move when she found someone to act as a messenger between her and the human world.
I want to be strong. I want to be feared. I want to be powerful.
When Cinder came of age, she figured out exactly what happened and sought after Salem. She heard what happened, but was not scared. In fact, left orphaned and perhaps alone, she would have seen having power as something great. And let's face it, no matter what universe you're in, being orphaned at a young age without anyone to properly care for you, you're not going to have a great outlook on humanity 9 times out of 10. So Cinder joins Salem's forces to gain power and revenge against the twisted, cruel humanity she hates so much. But that is the end of this part 1 of... what should we call this? Let me know in the comments and feel free to weigh in on what you think of this. And next time, prepare as we link the past to the present and explain exactly how all of this I've dug up on the past has led to where the world of Remnant is now. This has been Biosnow, and until next time, run wild my friends, while you can.